Welcome to Friday's live trading. This is Kim Watson speaking. Okay, just looking at a potential, actually this is the pound, I'm waiting for it on the euro for a bit of a long setup, just waiting for a break this high here. It's got oversold, it did get quite extreme. I was just waiting to see if it got a bit further, pulled off a bit further first, so just being patient at this stage here. So just if it breaks this high here at 108.08, I could be interested on the longer side. It is a counter trade, but it's got oversold on my inflection point signal, which all that really is doing and looking for is a move back to the mean. So just waiting for that. And the mean in this case would be the 21 moving average area, maybe the 8 o'clock pivot up here at around about 108.35, but we'll just see how it runs. It's about 108.40 actually, the 21 is sitting at, so, or 20 is sitting at actually. So I'm just waiting to see if that happens. But if you like these videos, by the way, please do give me a thumbs up on there, and also please subscribe, and you'll get plenty more videos from Charlie and myself during the week. You get the morning outlooks, and also Charlie does a couple of videos during the week, 2 or 3 videos during the week on different subjects, which I'm sure you'll find interesting if you're looking to trade. Now, okay, I'm just going to pause this video here, so you bear with me. It'll be paused throughout these periods. I don't want to have you sitting here for 20 minutes waiting for a trade, so just going to put it on pause as this isn't setting up at the moment. So just looking at this euro dollar, really was looking to see if it gave a signal. It hasn't given a signal on the smaller time frames, and also it's got quite extreme here, which when we see this, any retracement may be followed by another move down, so not liking it. So as you see the oversold indicator on there, often when these come it pulls back quite quickly towards the mean. But one way or t'other, at this stage I'm not going to be looking to do too much with it. Let's have a look at the momentum of this move. It's picking up here. You can really see from the size of these bars on the 30-minute that it's been picking up a bit after the consolidation through the Asian session. So we're going to be sitting here patiently for a while on that. So still sitting here waiting to see if this euro breaks. The way it's sort of set up, I'll give you a couple of things. Just point back here, we extremed. We might see this price action come right the way back towards these lows. It might, if it breaks it and carries on running, because of the time of day, it's 9:30 as I'm looking at here. I just stand aside and leave it. It's just looking at where the price is here. It may not come all the way down, we'll see, but realistically on the long side I need to be over that 521. I'll have a measure at that point to check out the risk reward and make sure it's still worth doing. The retracement target would be roughly towards that 8 o'clock pivot there, but it's slow, it's weak, and this movement, the pound has been a similar sort of weakness. In fact, the pound's been slightly weaker, not managed to push back up. So just sitting here patiently at the moment. So keep looking back at this euro, and well, it's not even got back up to its 521, which is okay. As I said, it had got extremed down on this 30-minute time frame, and expecting price to pull back towards those lows. Maybe it will just roll through it. I've seen the pound roll over this morning. That too was giving me the oversold signal, but it's just rolled. It's just continued to the downside eventually. This euro may do the same. If it does, it's just not in it, so we'll just leave it. It's not giving me a big enough retracement to sell the euro this morning, and we've got non-farm payrolls out later. I think it may be a bit of a dull old trade, if anything, but we'll see what happens. We've certainly seen more volumes coming through in the afternoons at times. We've seen this consolidation moves in the mornings and then off it breaks, so I'll sit here patiently. If this just rolls over, it does. It hasn't triggered the trade that I was looking for. So back to the waiting game.
So back to my desk, and having left this earlier on, and just really wanted to run through the principles behind it, what I was looking for and everything else. I got the oversold signal coming through on our 30-minute chart on my inflection point indicator. Now initially it started pitching up a little bit there, didn't set me up on a shorter time frame for what I was looking at. And the other factor that was spoiling it was the still in this 30-minute, we've seen an RSI extreme. Now when it does this extreme, there is a reasonable possibility, probability even, that it will pull back down again, which it did back here. So if even though it didn't even set up what I was looking for, but even if it had got set up, there would have been a risk of it coming back down towards these lows, and of course passing them. So having waited at that time, but the problem now, of course, it was slow. If it happened, this had all happened a bit earlier, and we were sitting there at 9 o'clock, and this had fired off, I'd have been, yes, I'm going to have a bit of this action back towards. Really, it's a 30-minute 50 now. It's really slowed down this, and the 30-minute 50's really come off somewhat, but towards that 30-minute 50 area. Although probably maybe looking back at that 30-minute 34 there, the 21's so close, it would have been on top of it maybe. But anyway, so all I'm trying to do with these sort of trades is I'm not worried about the very fact it's going down in real terms. Some of the best trades, you think, well, actually you're trading against trend. Well, yep, trading against trend for a very short while in general, and I'm looking for the ones that pull back quickly, as opposed to, if it takes too long, well, I'll just walk away and leave it. This is taking its time. It's 11:50ish as I'm recording this, and we'll find that we got 1:30. We got news out. I don't expect that news to move us too much today in the non-farms, but we'll see. Either way, it's a risk situation. It's worth waiting for that to get out of the way now. So sitting, as I say, here, the retracements, all I'm doing is retracing back to mean. Now you say, well, actually, why don't you just sort of look for the ones that pop over the top and then come back? Well, the stronger and the more points and the more frequent are those that break down quickly and then come back to the mean quickly. They give me the better trades. Now, as I said, this just got not only just oversold my indicator, but the RSI there was extreming on my more aggressive settings here. So I needed to wait for that to come off, because we know the probability is high that it will come back again. So then, if you'd taken it then and was looking at taking a trade at this point, well, it's a possibility. It's a 10:30 candle. I just call this a bit of a danger zone, jokingly, but it is often a consolidation zone between 10, 12, 12:30. It can really consolidate. Sometimes you get a nice move around about 11:30, moving towards, if it's been selling off strongly, that's when I would look at, if it's oversold at 11:30, I'd be thinking, oh, okay, I'll have a look at this, because there's a probability of it moving back towards its new 12 o'clock pivot anyway. But in this situation, it's too slow. It triggered out of time, but we could see. I mean, it may still go up there, but it's not the speed that I really want, and it's got more risk building into this the closer we get to the news event. So sitting on my hands until the news, basically. But just thought I'd give some explanation to why I'd like this sort of trade against what is a strong downward trend. Now, on my other account, I do still have a position that's been running since Monday on that, which is running quite nicely, Monday afternoon. So I'm still bearish, but that doesn't mean to say I can't be a bit mercenary at times and take these retracements when they occur, and if they occur quick enough. So that's really what I'm looking for. So it's 1:15. We've got news coming out at 1:30. Now, realistically, with this news, I think it's probably priced in that things are going to be bad. So they're probably in there already. However, that doesn't mean to say we won't get some price action here, as the markets take into account, or traders take into account, the data that's come out. Expectation wise, it's due to come out. The normal thing we would be looking at here would be the average earnings, which are expected to come in at 0.2 versus 0.3%. But that's in normal circumstances what we'd be looking at. But it ain't normal circumstances at the moment. So looking then at the non-farm employment change, that's expected to come in at minus 100k. Well, I think that could come in, looking at the numbers yesterday of continuing claims, etc. They went up by 3 million to what was expected, so 6.6 million. So it's going to be interesting to see where this comes in and with this figure anyway. Unemployment rate was sitting at 3.5. It's expected to go up to 3.8, but again that could run up. Now maybe anything that's better than expected here, anything that comes in better may be okay. In terms of the time period for these figures, we're looking at March's time period, and you've got to remember the US was still doing quite a bit through a lot of March, so it'll be interesting to see, because of course Trump said the virus was nothing, didn't he, at the beginning. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but I'm waiting to see what would get me into a trade. I'll wait post-trade and see what the price action does initially and take a step from there. Ideally, I would suggest though, if it does pop up on the likes of the euro, I still want to be ideally like to be on the short side. It did. I was looking earlier on for a retracement, expecting it to retrace on the bigger time frames here a bit more, but it just didn't do it. But it ran out of time, and as I said, the settings weren't right. So waiting to see if we get a spike up into these key moving averages, 50 or something like that, it may be an opportunity to sell. There is a bit of divergence across the lows here now, so technically it's got a bit uglier, but let's wait and see what happens. So this price action just pre-news with 2 minutes to go until the news is, or a bit less than 2 minutes maybe, before the news is due out. It's pushing up as I speak. But we'll just let it go. Realistically, we don't know where this market's going to go. We never know where it's going to go until the data's out anyway. But the data itself, if it comes in line with expectation, it's priced in. It might still give a little blip. We've seen such little movement on this news over the last 2 or 3 months now. Used to love trading it, but we'll see how it pitches out. Okay, so the news has just come out, and we're seeing like hardly anything moved here. The non-farm payrolls have come out at minus 700,000 versus minus 100,000 as expected, so it's 600,000 different. But as I said, those figures that came out yesterday were a bit sort of muddled, like 6.6 million versus 3 million, claiming weekly claims. The interesting thing here, I'm just looking across, the average hourly earnings went up from expected to come in at about 0.2, and actually where it came up at 0.4. So the people that were earning more. The unemployment rate the estimate was 3.8. It's coming at 4.4. But as I already said, a lot of this is just there. I'm looking at this price action, thinking, it ain't going anywhere, pretty much. So I'll just sit here and watch it for the next couple of minutes. If there's anything that looks good, I'll take it. The pound is certainly selling off. Then maybe this euro is going to sell off. It's certainly going at this moment. So it looks like the news is really not doing anything at all here at this stage. As I say, massive miss from expectation, but I think more realistic expectations were built into this price action over the last week or so, and we're just seeing what is there. The thing to bear in mind here, of course, then is what's happening elsewhere, and Europe's going to be suffering similarly. So I'm looking at the euro dollar here. Well, if it's hitting in the US, it's going to be hitting in Europe, and we know it's hitting in likes of Italy, Spain, etc., particularly badly, and it's just really scratching the surface maybe in some parts. So I think we're seeing the reaction of that. I'm looking at this euro, thinking if it slows down a little bit, gives me a retracement, I might even take a short on this. So I'm just sitting here patient. So the market's basically consolidated, gone a bit dead at this stage. Now I was looking then what would get me into a trade, maybe a break of this area here back above the 4-hourly pivot. There are some buy orders I can see on the order book above here running up a clump or 10 or 20 pips of it, and then there's a bit more up here, but in between there's a sandwich of sell orders. We've probably taken out any sell orders that were sitting below there pretty quickly from those that had already been buying earlier on. It's obviously taken out those orders and done nothing much else. It's now consolidating. It's not giving me a lot of scope to get into a trade at this stage until it either breaks the highs here or gives me a bit more idea where it wants to go. So at this point, it's this euro's got in quite a mess here. The other factor I was just discussing, if it does start breaking or continue its breakdown, target wise for now is we're pretty slim. There's a sort of the 20% trade it runs back to its S2. Well, it's done that a few times recently. Could have been a target, I guess, on that side. Could just be leaving it. But if you look at the higher time frames, it's below all its key moving averages, and at some point just likely to get a bit of a retrace. May close down here and continue through next week as it is, but I'm not really too keen on holding a position on the euro day trade across the weekend here, particularly leaving it so late in the day to take the trade. So I'm going to wind this up. So it is a day where we've sat there patiently for a long period and not had a setup on the trade. So I wish you a great weekend, and I will be back on live trading. Hopefully we'll get a live trade next Friday. Other than that, catch you in the mornings on the Morning Outlook. Bye for now.